Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Oh, hi! We're here.
Oh, wait, no, yeah. I
Seriously?
I thought
This
it was
is a
like an
thing we
89 episode special guest.
This is a thing
We're
we
not
do.
on 89, we're on 87.
Ah, well, you know.
Episode 87.
I'm looking to the future.
This is why John isn't in charge, guys.
Yeah, so episode 87, we've got a really cool interview lined up for you all with a local boy, kinda. He's Erie.
Yep.
So,
PA.
Erie, PA.
I like it.
Special effects makeup artist, graphic artist, and author, too.
Yeah, he's an author now.
Mark Kasabuki.
Kazabucky.
Kasabucky.
Kazabucky.
I'm going to fuck that up later.
You're fine. It's
Also
fine.
known as Monster Mark. And it's going to be a hell of an interview, I can tell you that. Really great guy, really knowledgeable about his craft, and has some great insight on the world of indie filmmaking from a special effects makeup artist perspective.
Yeah, a lot of things a lot of people take for granted. You know, you see like a blood squirting out of someone's neck, and you're like, oh, cool, but you don't think of all the work, the tedious work that goes into making
make it
something like
perfect,
that
yeah.
realistic and actually, you know, pulling something like that off. So, yeah, and a lot of other things that he does that we're going to be, you know, jumping into with him in the interview. So, yeah, I'm
it's
pretty
gonna be
pumped for
awesome.
Yeah. So, but before we get to all that, we got a little bit of a news bit, and it's, I guess, big in the land of Hollywood, but I really don't give two shits about
Look
it.
at how hateful you are. I
just don't give two
love
shits.
this time of year. I love it.
Yeah, but the Oscars were the nominations came out for the Oscars.
I think I mean
Great.
it's nice. Like, and honestly,
Indeed.
like I think there was some really interesting things that ended up happening. You know, so John, I know you have the list ripping over there because you're marking off diligently everything you're gonna see. Do you want to just hit us with the noms for Best Picture? There's 9 this year.
Did someone say rip? All right. Yeah. So
I'm like legit dying. That was awesome. I try not to be too self-congratulatory because on a podcast that's so obnoxious, but we have fun. We have fun.
I think that's number 6 of us ripping out South Park. I think in the history of the show.
Are you kidding? That's like 8,000. We say
8,000.
we say member berries like a million times an episode.
But guys, nine goddamn nominees for
Well,
best film.
it's been that way since they expanded it to 10. They did 10 the first year, and they've done 9 ever since, haven't they?
No, well,
No,
they may
I
have,
think
but
so.
the idea is what they said is we're gonna do between 5 and 10, and they always do 9.
Imagine that.
Yeah, because they want to try to make some money off of these art house pictures. You know, oh, we didn't make that much money off The Darkest Hour. Put it up for best film so we can recoup some money.
Well, too, I mean, I think it's interesting that the Oscars are later this year. They're not until, March 4th?
Oh,
Yeah.
that is later.
They're giving more time so people can go spend money on watching the films. You know what
They
I
don't
mean?
even. Well, I mean, yeah, there is that. I mean, the actual people who vote on this shit have already seen all of them because they all get screeners.
Yeah, but they want the common person to go see it, you
The
know,
common
and
folk.
like us peasants, they want us to go and spend money on
Plebs
seeing
there,
them.
you watch our
rubes.
movies.
Go, Rubes.
The simple folk, salt of the earth you are.
They make under 900 grand a year.
How do they live?
But just some of the nominees, the Fish fucking movie, Shape of Water.
The
got
fish
nominated.
fucking movie.
Can you not? I don't think I asked for color commentary. I just asked for a list of Best Picture noms.
Okay. Christopher Nolan's very beautiful but strikingly boring Dunkirk.
Strikingly boring.
I'm liking this color commentary.
I was
You
going to
should
say, never mind. The color
continue the color
commentary
commentary, please.
It's fine. As you were.
Strikingly boring, John. Wasn't that your 5th favorite film of the year? Yeah, I don't like a whole lot. Phantom Thread, which they have a boner for Paul Thomas Anderson at the Academy.
Now, is that
yeah.
the...
Now I do too, but
Is that supposed to be...
Daniel Day-Lewis's final performance.
Yep.
'Cause he's-
Yeah.
I'm gonna go be a shoemaker.
You read my mind.
Daniel Day-Lewis is a crazy person.
Is he really gonna go be a shoemaker?
He's not my favorite. Like,
No.
he's
No, he
everything
isn't.
about an actor
Yeah.
that I think is just annoying.
He's gonna go be a cobbler.
Like those cranky old Italian men that fix our shoes.
No, he's not. That's a joke, right?
Nope. No, it's not.
Brian, John rarely jokes.
Oh my God.
I don't care for humor.
No. Okay, in all seriousness, did he really say he's going to go be a cobbler? Like he's going to make shoes?
Yes, he did.
That's the worst job ever.
I did not know he said that. That is so great.
What the fuck, Daniel Day-Lewis? You used to drink milkshakes, and now you're going to go make shoes?
Bastard in a basket. That's what you are. Darkest Hour, which nobody saw, but getting rave reviews for
Gary Oldman,
Oldman's
right?
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Sir Winston Churchill.
Mhm.
And I lost my noms. There they are. 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is kind of the front runner right now, but apparently a lot of people are saying a little bit racist, and I've seen it. They're not entirely wrong. Get Out, the yin to that yang.
The surprise hit of the year.
Yeah, the surprise hit of the year. The Post. So here comes Spielberg again. Call Me by Your Name, which is a gay love story. Haven't seen it. I know there's a lot of controversy over the age difference, especially from James Woods, who likes to have sex with 16-year-old females. But when it comes to boys, it's icky.
And to Armie Hammer, who's kind of repugnant. As a human, I mean.
Yeah.
In Lady Bird, which is kind of the indie darling of the thing, which I thought was a strange title because all I can think is LBJ's wife.
That's what I was thinking
Well,
too.
I mean, you got to watch it, I guess, to get it.
Yeah.
I've heard it's fantastic. It's one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most.
And all the nominees for Best Actor are from the films Daniel Day-Lewis, except for one. Phantom Thread was Daniel Day-Lewis. Sweet Jesus Christ, Timothy Chalamet for Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
I think I nailed it.
I think you got it right.
Well, the only one that's the odd man out is
Is
Denzel's,
Denzel,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Daniel, however you say his last name, for Get Out, and Gary
Kaluuya.
Oldman for Darkest Hour.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, Denzel. I saw the trailer for that Denzel movie. It looked awesome.
I haven't even seen a trailer for
I
it. I've
didn't see
never
a
heard
trailer
of
for
it until I saw these, for sure.
So in all my infinite cynicism, I was just like, well, this looks like Denzel's yearly Oscar bait. And there you go. Because it's not really nominated for anything else.
right.
Do we even need to talk about Best Actress? I think Frances McDormand wins. Like,
Well, I mean, I think some of these are interesting. Sally Hawkins. Is this her first nomination?
sounds right to me.
I think so.
Yeah, and this is Margot Robbie's for sure.
If we're wrong, they'll let us know it.
Yeah.
Wait, she didn't get nominated for Harley Quinn?
I don't think so. I mean, but she's so good. Oh my
Academy
god.
Award
Why-
winning Suicide Squad?
Shut the fuck
Look
up.
at how mad he is.
Shut the fuck up.
I love that he's so mad. He's
Meryl,
so
Fuck
mad
you,
at it.
Suicide Squad.
Meryl Streep got her 700th nomination.
I mean, at this point, like, can we stop nominating her? We know she's
Hey,
not going to win.
She was really good in that movie.
Was she? All right, fine.
She's usually good in just about everything.
Fine.
And
Supporting actor, right?
Well, you're missing one. Saoirse Ronan.
Hey,
Oh,
if we talk about everybody,
is that
we'll
how
be
you
here
say
all
her
day.
name?
I think so.
She's Irish, so I know. Like, there's probably
Yeah.
a lot of pronunciation there. She's kind of amazing though. I've seen her speak.
I've seen
and
her in
she's-
other things.
She's
really
awesome.
good.
I meant like as a person. Like I've seen her in interviews and stuff, and she's kind of amazing. She's from Game of Thrones, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and just to kind of like keep things moving a little faster here. So, just one thing that I noticed in Best Supporting Actor was Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World.
Isn't that interesting? He got an Oscar nod
so
for a
awesome.
movie he wasn't originally supposed to be in.
So, guys, I got to
Very
ask a
cool.
question: If Kevin Spacey wasn't a child rapist, does Kevin Spacey get nominated for that award?
Well, I think it depends on how good he was.
Yeah, I don't
Was
think
he
you can,
good?
I don't think you can necessarily
never know.
make that determination. We'd have to see his performance compared to Christopher Plummer's
Because I mean,
performance.
I know a lot of this is like a parading, like self-aggrandizing sham, but I mean, they do look at the performance, and we maybe Kevin Spacey wasn't that good, and maybe Christopher Plummer just like nailed it,
yeah.
crushed
Well,
it.
The leader right now in the pact is Willem Dafoe for the Florida Project, which I think a lot of people were surprised the Florida Project got snubbed for Best Picture.
Interesting.
But they're saying that Willem Dafoe might win that, which I would love to see his creepy ass face on the stage giving it.
Oh, he has so many teeth. I'm into it.
I just want him to go jigs up Spider-Man and drop
Yes.
we got Allison Janney in Best Supporting Actress. This is where Mudbound.
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
for
her. I
Mudbound.
didn't even know she'd
Wow.
ever been an actor before. She's a singer normally, R&B
Yeah.
singer, and she's been around forever, but I didn't know she acted.
No, didn't know that.
Cool. I mean, that's awesome. Like, I don't know much about Mudbound, but I think that's interesting. And then Laurie Metcalf was also nominated for Lady Bird. And then
Octavia Spencer for
and
Shape
that's
of Water.
another one for her. I just really want to talk about director real quick, best director, because I think it's so interesting. So we have Jordan Peele was nominated for Get Out, and we have Greta Gerwig was nominated for Lady Bird. This is the 5th time in each instance that a Black man and that a woman have been nominated for best director. I think that's very significant. I think those numbers need to get higher, like pronto.
Absolutely.
Very cool that they were nominated. And I mean, Jordan Peele, I just fucking love that dude. So that's very interesting. Not a lot of other surprises. Guillermo del Toro and Paul Thomas Anderson and Christopher Nolan round out that category. So something cool, I found a lot of the screenplays that are nominated. And for the newsletter, if anybody is interested in still subscribing to that, please, check out our website and go ahead and get yourself signed up for that. But I'd like to do one for the newsletter and where I kind of like talk about it. I'll read it and I'll give you guys the lowdown, so.
Very cool.
Best original music, John Williams is nominated for also the 10,000th time. I
All
wonder if he
right.
has more or less than Meryl Streep. I'm not sure.
Looking it up.
Guys, best animated feature film, The Boss Baby.
Fuck
It's
that
nominated.
movie.
I can't believe
listen,
it was nominated.
Did you guys watch it? You guys see
No.
it? I have seen it.
I don't have kids, dude.
Oh, I have kids, and I had to see it, and boy, it is as terrible as you can imagine.
Dude, it's not even a question. Coco's gonna win. Everybody cried bitch baby tears when they fucking watched it. It's gonna
Well,
win.
the thing that I don't quite understand is why did this movie get nominated, but Lego Batman didn't?
Because that's a giant commercial.
No, but if you watch the two, this one's
I mean, the Lego
Lego
Batman movie
Batman
was
is
funny.
much
I
It was
hated
cute.
how much I
It-
laughed at it. Yeah.
no. But
He
what I'm
did
saying
laugh a lot.
is like the filmmaking behind it is much better. In my opinion,
I see what you're saying.
compared
I
to
see
Boss
what you're
Baby.
saying.
Boss Baby is basically your typical DreamWorks bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just convoluted as all fuck.
I was going to say, the plot looks terrifying.
It
and
is.
bizarre. Yeah.
You know what it is? It's called "This is the way that parents can get away with not telling their kids that they came about from fucking."
Yeah.
It's
Like
true.
that's what it is. The
Well,
whole movie
son,
is that.
I ejaculated my penis into your mother's vagina and then made a baby.
Yeah.
Couple of other interesting tidbits here. We can now say that Kobe Bryant is Oscar-nominated human being
Really?
for Dear Basketball, animated short and
Oh,
documentary
I was
short.
like, tell me he's a cinematographer now.
Documentary short and animated short are where I usually shine when I kick Willis Croft's ass.
Yeah,
at
out of pure
predicting.
goddamn luck.
Yeah, well, luck is good. I'm a charmed human. It's usually where I beat his ass as far as that goes. And then cinematography. Rachel Morrison is the first woman to have ever been nominated for an
That's
Oscar
really
for
awesome.
cinematography, and she's from Mudbound. So,
Which Mudbound's a Netflix film.
yeah, that's so crazy.
That's the crazy thing.
the
about
world
it.
is changing.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, I mean, I'm psyched. Because John and I make like a huge, amazing dinner. We drink our asses off. I usually pwn him. It's a good night.
There was one year you pwned. It's been pretty close otherwise.
No, there was 2
it's,
years.
It's always something.
I always win. It's just
always
a matter by how
documentary
much.
short. And the thing is, like, I've never heard anything.
We're
Neither has
international
she.
short.
And we'll just check them off. And then, like, it'll get to the one she is. It'll be like, You Chamba Baluba, a movie about blind children who have to join the African army or their mothers will get AIDS. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's going to win. And so, like, did you check that one? And Lynn's like, yeah, I did.
I'll show him my sheet and then it'll totally be
Well,
checked.
And then like we get to mine, and it'll be like, it sounds like The Tear Game, and I'm like, ha ha ha, and it'll be like an adult coloring book contest where everybody competes like to draw people cry. I'm like, no, why did I pick that one? It sounded like it was remorseful.
Because here's the thing, and this is why I hate the Oscars. You can basically decide how it's going to shake out because of the title or the whatever prestige it has.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I can't stand it, because it's not necessarily about who's the best filmmaker, who's the best in this category. It's what sort of politics is that particular film playing?
Well, too, I mean, like, I think seeing the shorts actually last year ruined me because I saw the animated shorts.
Yeah.
We went to Regent Square because they usually show, all of them.
Right.
And I saw it. And one of them was, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like artsy as shit. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, this is going to win. It's so dumb. Like, not dumb. I would never, like, put someone's art down that way. But, like, I don't get it. Like, it's totally going to win It's so deep. And
Yeah.
so I picked it. Totally didn't win. So I
Lane?
need to go in blind.
Lane,
Yes, sir.
last week we spent over an hour putting down somebody else's art.
No, that's not art. He's a corporate.
He thinks it's art.
He's a non-corporate
It's an attempt
shill.
at art?
Nope. He doesn't think he's making art.
Hashtag
Yeah.
hypocrite.
Talking about cool cats.
Sorry, Daddy Derek. That ain't.
Daddy Derek, shut your face. Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
Ah, but yeah.
Those are the noms. We'll see how things play out. There's a couple more award shows before the big day, and obviously we'll have our Oscar recap, and I'll tell you how hungover I was for laying up on my ass, and but it should be an interesting year because I think that there could be a couple surprises. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. I really don't give two shits.
I look forward to the drinking.
Brian, this happens every year.
This happens. I know this happens every year. I'm just saying I don't give
I
two
think you get a
shits.
tiny bit more hateful every year, though. I'm not going to lie.
You know what happened last year to make me a bit more hateful about the Oscars? Fucking Suicide Squad.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true.
It's fun to watch the Bulls on parade. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just it's a
I
cattle
like to make
parade.
it a whole day thing because I usually start drinking early and I look at the red carpet.
I wish
and-
I was drinking
It's
while
like
watching it.
me
Let's just put it that way.
time.
Because if that were the case, I would have downed a whole bottle of liquor after seeing the Suicide Squad get for best makeup.
That was upsetting. I'm not going to lie.
Academy
Upsetting.
Award-winning Suicide.
Shudder.
All right, guys. So we have an interview to get to.
Yeah, we do.
All right. So we will come back after an ad for does this hold up? How does this hold up?
Does this hold up?
Does this hold up? From the Epicast Network. So stay tuned and we'll be back with Monster Mark.
All right, pause. You're enjoying this Epicast Network show, but what are you going to listen to next?
Come over and listen to us, Does This Hold Up podcast.
It's a movie review show where we take films from the past, analyze them, answer the question to does this hold up?
Not really.
Not really, no. We talk about things like Karate Kid. You've all seen it, you love it. But do you remember Mr. Miyagi gets blackout drunk and talks about how many Germans he's killed in the war?
You've seen Goonies. Have you seen Mouth? He's not Mouth because he's loud. Mouth can fit a lot of things in his mouth.
He's terrific at oral.
He's known for how many round things he can juggle with his tongue.
So come over, check out Does This Hold Up whenever you're done with whatever Epicast TV show you're listening to now.
Go to epicastnetwork.com, epicast.tv.
At Does This Hold Up.
And we're back. That was mentions from our friends over the Epicast Network, specifically Does This Hold Up?
Does what hold up, Brian?
Movies.
Oh, okay. It depends.
The universe.
The universe.
Life.
Life and everything with it.
Guys, I think it's one of those special occasions again that we have somebody else in the room.
We have company.
Not literally. We got them through the interwebs, but
Through the magic of internet.
yeah.
The future is now.
Yes. We're joined with special effects makeup artist and graphic artist, Mark Kasabuki. Am I pronouncing it right?
It's Kasabaki.
Kasabuki. Okay.
Close enough. Close enough.
I was gonna say, kind of a renaissance man, Mark. You do, that's one of the reasons we want you in the show. You do, a little bit of everything. You have, you do the fine arts. You're a filmmaker in and of your own right, writer, director, producer. You do a lot of special effects makeup. So you a little bit of everything, I'd say, out there in the in this crazy film world.
Trying to, yeah. Trying to. Branching off into writing now a little more. So I have a book published I'll talk about in a little bit. So
Sweet. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you could just kind of give our audience, I mean, I was just, thinking that I think I actually know you longer than I know Lane, which is surprising because I didn't think in college I knew anybody as long as you, Lane. But can you kind of give a breakdown here of kind of your history in film, like kind of how you got into it and, what you like to do there? Just kind of give a synopsis of yourself here for the audience.
Well, I went to Edinburgh University for video production, and that's where you and I met. And once I finished there, I went to the Savini School down near Pittsburgh. And after that, I started working with Len Kavisinski, who you've had on your show before. And we've been doing indie films pretty much. I've been working with him since around 2009, maybe. I think that's about when we started. That's when I did my first project with him. And from there, it's just, I've been doing graphic design in my free time to kind of pay the bills. And occasionally, I'll be writing and working on scripts of my own. And sure, I'm working on a novel now and everything. So, but yeah, it's kind of just, I don't know. I kind of like fall into jobs sometimes, and then that just ends up happening. And yeah, it's freelancing from here, and not too much to say there. I mean, I've loved movies since I was in middle school, so I mean, all kinds of stuff. So I got to ask this because I've done special effects makeup myself. Not to the level that you're at. But I think there's some people who are kind of in the camp of, you kind of get self-taught, and then there are people who are in the camp of you go to school for it. Since you've kind of done a bit of both, where do you think you fall in that kind of spectrum, when it comes to, going to school for something or just kind of following your passion? Well, I mean, I started like a lot of the guys in like the 80s. I was finding like the little prosthetics that they would sell in shops and everything, and like practicing on my friends and myself and things like that. They're really, I mean, when I wanted to get into it, there wasn't YouTube, so they didn't have any kind of tutorials you could look up. There wasn't the abundance of information, I mean, so easily at your grasp at the time. And I mean, we're not even talking about that long ago. We're talking about 2001. So, I mean, like I couldn't, when somebody asks me now, I'll say, oh, go buy this book, and this book. They go right to Amazon and they pick them up. Mm-hmm. That wasn't that way. I didn't know what books to write or to find or anything like that. And, I saw the ads for Savini's program on the back of Fangoria. It's like, all right, I guess this is it, And then after that, you start to see more people attempting things, on their own without going through any kind of formal education, which is fine. Stuff like that, you just have to be careful of. Some people have a very good grasp of what materials can do and if they are harmful, and how they can be applied to an actor, and some people do not. And that's the stuff where I would say, well, if you had a teacher to tell you can't, cake somebody's face in cotton and latex to the point where, it's just like this big thing attached to, that's where I would say, yeah, you need a teacher. But as far as doing simple stuff like cuts and wounds and scars and practicing on your arm or whatever. Yeah. I mean, like messing around by yourself and figuring that stuff out and how you like to paint. That's awesome. That's how you learn.
I remember it was, I think about 2009, Lane and I were working on a short in Cambridge Springs at, RIP Riverside. And I remember, you met with, Len there, and I don't know. I don't know if you guys were already in kind of talks, because Len was just kind of there helping out his crew. Now, obviously with Len, he does, a lot of feature work and a lot of blood squibs, and, and a little bit more elaborate than just say, but I mean, those are there too, just like a scar on an arm. And I'm certainly not, lessening any effect, but was that kind of had you done things to that level of, a head explosion or things like that before working with Len, or has it kind of been like an exercise in kind of okay, Len, you want me to do what, or?
It's funny how Len and I kind of work is when he's writing, he'll sometimes be messaging me during the process. He's like, okay, I'm going into this scene now. What do you think we could do here? Here's kind of what our budget is. And he pushes me to a degree to get better. is like, well, do you think we could do something like this? And I start to think, and I'm like, well, for that kind of budget, what kind of, gag could we rig up? Do I think it could work? I mean, I've had stuff not work on set with him before. And I've had stuff that's worked very well. I hadn't done much though before working with him. So it's definitely been awesome for teaching myself to get better, just to, okay, this doesn't work in this situation. And, even something as simple as what kind of stuff needs to go into fake blood for it to go through a squib properly. You wouldn't think it would be such a big deal, but certain things have certain reactions that don't work, and some things work way better.
Yeah. Now, do you do any kind of like squibs for gunshots? I know, obviously, the reason I asked, I remember working on Wendigo, and I wish you had been on that project. And this isn't anything I wouldn't say directly to Len, but there's a shot where you hear them count down for a small explosion on this shirt he's wearing, and then a blood squib, and the thing just kind of fizzles out, and a little bit of smoke goes up, and the actor just looks at the camera like, now what do we do? And I just was laughing, I think, like with tears in my eyes for like 15 minutes. How difficult is that to set up things like that where, the actor's probably, usually unjustifiably, but a little worried about, their own safety and things like that for the effector?
I don't use any kind of pyrotechnic squibs as of yet. I would like to. I would like to learn how to. As of right now, I use compressed air. And those are done with, you can do them with like a compressor. And I've seen if you want to get like really crazy spray, you can use like a pressure pot to do that, which I have and we've tried. I have several of these bike inflators that use CO2 cartridges that are for airsoft guns. And they surprisingly work really well. There's always going to be an additional little digital add-in for it, but that usually helps your editor find, okay, there's the spray, it's coming from here, on the chest. I'll point to it before we do a take, and then we'll pop it. You can rig them up super quick. On Hellcat's Revenge, I rigged 3 up to Len's chest at one time, and you just have to be able to trigger them. The actor can trigger them themselves even, which is really fun. It's always trickier in winter. We ran into some issues during one of Len's projects called Blood Mercury, where we were doing these blood squibs for the first time, actually. And I was kind of just getting to know the mechanics of them. And we were out at one point in like below freezing temperatures out in the woods at some like skiing cabin or something. And we had to do one bullet hit. And because it was so cold, the blood, it didn't freeze in the tube. But when I triggered it, it was just smoke that came out of it. It was so cold that no liquid would come out. So Temperature affects things, the chemicals in it. When we first started, I was using a blood mixture that incorporated dish soap, and it would foam up in the tube when you triggered it. And now I just don't add that. I do a way simpler mixture of just 1-to-1 corn syrup and water with corn syrup and chocolate syrup with water mixed in, and it works super well. So
that's the same mixture I've used.
Yeah,
it's the same stuff.
You don't think about it. I was on a movie set, and I was like a second unit effects person doing squibs for a movie called Zombie Killers. And the effects team was just using chocolate syrup and corn syrup mixed with water. And, your actors can eat it. There's nothing dangerous about it. It can be thinned out to what you need it to be to go through squibs or whatever. It was like the greatest. And it's what we've used. And it washes out of everything. It doesn't stain anything. Like we've had it on walls, and Ruth's gotten it out of white tank tops. It's crazy.
Shout out for Root.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I know that was something that was what we worked on when you worked with us at the Riverside, Mark. the half a flashlight that you buried in John's eye. I mean, now for something like that, now that's a more complicated prosthetic. Do you use molds? Is that how that works? I mean, for me, I only saw the finished product, so I don't really know like the blood, sweat, and tears that was behind it. But I remember, if you don't mind me outing you, John, we got pulled over once, and the state trooper gave that thing some serious side eye when it was in the back seat. Yeah, we still had it in the back seat when he got pulled over, and he was just like, "What is that?"
It wasn't on his face, right?
No, it was half of. Yeah, it was off my face, but it was half a flashlight. What looks like human skin and blood.
Yeah,
on it.
because like it was a piece that like went over his face and melded into his like socket.
Wow.
That was a foam latex prosthetic.
Okay.
And, I know how to make them. I make them all the time. The effects artist that made that most likely had the top half of a flashlight and sculpted whatever kind of gore around it, and then took a mold of it and then poured it up in foam. It's a little bit more of an involved process than a slab mold, which is basically just like a cut and wound mold that's just flat that you can just tap latex into straight from like a cookie sheet or whatever. It was fun. I don't get much call to make them. I did one for one of Len's movies. It was a torn off face makeup for Blood Mercury. It was pretty cool. They were exchanging faces in that movie, which was fun.
Well, yeah, you've done a lot of monster heads and things like that, and they're breathtaking. Now, I think I read, just doing a little research here, that's a lot of that is just for the fun of it. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's more of like a fine art thing that I do. I like I just did a zombified version of my own head for an art show this fall. It was on a half head. It was on a plaque, but yeah, I mean that's more of a fine art thing that I like to just brush up on my sculpting every now and then. I haven't done it for a little bit though, so.
Very cool. So I've worked on film sets. I know we've all kind of done it, and there's always some sort of thing that goes wrong on a film set. It's like, it's almost like if something's going to go wrong, it's going on. In terms of special effects makeup, I think it's kind of underappreciated art. Because I mean, from my own personal experience, I worked on one film in which they were like, hey, we need a throat slit. Here's the amount of time you've got. It went from, 2 to 3 hours down to 45, down to, 10 minutes, down to, can we just do this with a fake knife? Have you ever had a situation similar to that, where, you've just had all hell break loose and been able to overcome it?
It's never been too bad. And I mean, that's why I like working with Len. I know what to expect with him beforehand. I've on the Zombie Killer set. I had a small team with me of about 4 people, and this was for pickup shots in a summer about a year after they finished the principal shooting, and it wasn't bad, but you can tell that at times there are producers or directors who don't understand the mechanics of certain things. They some of them will treat you just like, oh, you can just do it. Well, yep. You need to plan this sort of stuff. And it wasn't bad on Zombie Killers by any means, but you could tell like it had the potential to get that way if like enough extras showed up to be zombies. Oh, here's 3 more. Just if you could just, and we had enough prosthetics for everybody, and that nobody needed to be like, screen quality. These were going to be people standing way in the back, so they could have had just grease paint for all we care. But it can get that way at times if you don't know who you're going to work for. If they start, I can start to sort of see red flags now that I'm into my 30s, and I've dealt with a couple of people, especially after working with the Horror Fest for so long. I would encounter a lot of producers and directors, and sometimes I use that term loosely. And I would never cut anyone down, but you can tell the people who are serious versus the people who are just kind of wanting to be in the show. And those are the people you kind of have to worry about, especially when you start the easiest way is I'll bring up a contract. And I'll have you sign a contract. And you're like, yeah, we'll talk to you. Sure you will. Sure you'll talk to me. All right.
Yeah. Now, Mark, one thing that I was impressed, when I was basically a freshman coming into college is that, I met you as Monster Mark, and I thought, this guy is awesome. He already has basically, a brand, so to speak. And I was just trying to find anything. Like, now, how did that come to be, and how did you know, like, so very early on, like, how you wanted to basically, put yourself out there as a creative force?
Monster Mark was just easier to say than Kuzabucky, as illustrated by the very beginning of this interview. It's just one of those things where somebody said it to me in passing in high school, and I'm just like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And I've always been a fan of like musical artists that have quick names like that: Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, stuff like that. I was like, oh, I guess I could probably do that. And I just started signing my artwork that way and tagging my video, or directed by. So it just sort of stuck that way. It wasn't anything where I intended on a brand per se, but if that were to ever come about, I wouldn't reject it.
Very cool, very cool. So to kind of shift gears a little bit, you said that you had done, you're getting more into some writing and whatnot now. Is Brady the writing project?
Mm-hmm.
Available at Amazon?
Yep. Yeah, it's an illustrated short story that I was working on for about a year. And it's basically a treatment for a film I'd like to make. The one producer I was working with down near Philadelphia kept asking me, he's like, well, do you have any comic book material, any kind of comic book material? All the investors that I've got are interested in comic book media. I said, I don't really have anything at the moment. So I figured I should start to put something together in that aspect. And that's how Brady kind of came out. And I just sort of figured I'll do this, as I've written scripts before and registered them and sent them to producers, and nothing's come of it. So I figured, at least with an illustrated short story put together in a finished form, at least that way I can make some money off of it. It's not a complete loss of my time. And then if somebody wants to make it, I own it completely. And I can just say, yeah, let's do it. What's your budget look like? How much do you have? Let's see what we can do. So
that's cool. Now, did you self-publish, or how did that go?
I self-published it through CreateSpace. Yeah. I looked around a lot for independent publishers, and I found that for a short story, Brady came in just under the wire by like maybe 1,000 words or something small like that. And so I didn't really see much. I didn't really see much of a point to approaching them. They were going to probably give me issues with it. And a couple of the writers that I approached to give me a critique for it, they liked the idea, and they just weren't sure about it. So I was like, okay, maybe the best way to go is just send it out on my own and see what kind of comes from it.
Oh yeah, I mean, self-publishing is super common these days, and with such a unique format, that I think that's definitely the way to go. But that, now you said it took about a year. Now I imagine that was working in with like other projects and stuff.
Yes.
Very cool.
I'll get design projects, every week or so. So whenever I'd have like time, I would start doing sketches for it or whatever.
What's Brady about? Can you give kind of like a brief synopsis?
It's a cool idea I had about a youth group in a church overnight playing hide and seek. One of them is on acid though. So,
like you do.
So it sort of goes off the rails in that sense of things.
Awesome.
So, we had talked a lot earlier about, special effects work, makeup work, things like that. How do you feel in the never-ending debate on whether you should do it organically on set or do it in post, like using digital tricks? Like, how do you come down on the split between the two?
The way I see it is, there are times when I watch movies that are very CG heavy, and it's always noticeable. always. It's, I mean, most recently was the It remake. Everyone that I talked to is like, yeah, it's all CGI. And I'm like, and once I watched it twice, I was like, yeah, that's a lot of it. Every time a film takes the time to put the money in on practical, it's always super noticeable, and it's so much more fun. It's it's just occasionally CG is worked in to where it works. I mean, like with Len, it's gone from where we were green screening a lot of stuff to where Len's like, this doesn't work so much. Let's not do this as much, and incorporating the compressed air squibs as opposed to doing them all CG, and it looks better, So
I totally agree.
I think that there's a balance that can be reached between the benefits of CG and the benefits of special effects and practical effects. I teach visual effects for a college, so I'm kind of like the guy who's done special effects makeup, but also can kind of see where visual effects come into play. And I just think that it doesn't have to be a war. I think producers see it as, I can save a crap ton of money by doing a bunch of blood effects instead of paying someone like yourself to take the time and craft something that the actor is going to react more to. Like that's what I personally think that should be the key here, is what is the actor going to react to better? Are they going to react to someone saying, boom, there's blood, or actually hearing the compressed air go off, seeing the blood shoot out? That is a more realistic, organic way to react, and better acting and better storytelling, so to speak.
One of the things I did appreciate was, if you saw, I'm sure you did, you saw a lot of the way they're doing Terminator stuff now is they're using green screening under the prosthetics so that you can actually see into the head, as opposed to building an animatronic head at this point, which is really cool because now you are incorporating CG and the actor and a practical effect over the top of everything, and that works in that sense of things. But you're absolutely right that if it's just a corner to cut, it doesn't work. But if it's incorporated properly, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I know I was watching behind the scenes of The Mist, and I know they did the same sort of thing where they incorporated practical with visual effects, and it seemed to work out better.
Oh yeah. I love The Mist. That's a great movie.
I was just about to say, I love that movie too.
It's a good movie.
I was the only one laughing at the end of it. It was so good.
Please tell me you were in the theater when you were laughing at the end of it.
I was in the theater. My mom was next to me. My wife was next to us. She's like, I hate this movie. I was like, I knew it was coming. And as soon as the kid wakes up, I'm like, it's so good.
It's darkly humorous. I mean, it can get a chuckle that way. But was there any one particular filmmaker or film or anything like that just kind of like sparked it for you, or were you just a lifelong fan of film and everything kind of built on top of each other?
It's funny. I was actually just talking about this with one of my friends today. The one movie that really got me interested in special effects was Dick Tracy.
And
wow.
That's because it's besides the fact everybody's in that movie. I mean, when you look at the list of the actors, the all-star cast in that, it's like, holy shit, everyone's in this movie. And I had the book when I was a kid. They used to release them you'd get them through Scholastic when they would do book club and stuff at school.
Yeah. I had the same book. Yeah. I literally had the same exact book.
Yeah,
that you're talking about. It was like the movie book.
The movie book. I had the Batman one. I had the Dick Tracy one, and you flip through it, and it's got scenes from the movie. But then they did a really cool thing where they had like all of the sculptures of all of the makeups that they did for all the gangsters, and I was like, these are awesome. And I was like, they actually made Flat Top's head flat. How awesome is that? I was looking at all these cool sculptures, and I just didn't know how they did it. Because it's just a picture at that point. And I was like 90, 91 when that came out. I forget what year, but that was probably
90.
Yeah, we were little.
Yeah.
So that was like probably the spark. Just like, this is really cool how they made all of these like gangsters look exactly like the comic book. So
now, on top of creating comic books and working in special effects makeup, you're also a really well accomplished graphic designer and graphic artist, correct?
I would say I'm doing okay. I'm
you got to put him on the spot there, Brian. Now, you're the greatest graphic designer who ever lived, right?
I don't see any awards in the future, but I work hard at it and I try, and I've had some pretty good successes over the last 2 years. Yeah,
I gotta be honest, I was creeping on your Instagram today and looking at your art, and it is fucking awesome. Like,
thank you.
I'm a fan of the pulp horror type art that you're doing. I see a lot of it in the late 70s album covers of like metal and 80s as well. And like that was my jam right there. Just gotta say.
Your stuff is
DC
dope,
comics. All the old horror comics, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I grew up with. Thank you very much.
Now, do you think it's important at all to be in kind of a mixed program in school? Because obviously, when the three of us went to Edinburgh, you had to go through as many fine arts as they call them, painting, sculpting, everything like that. Obviously, you just have a natural talent for it. But do you think that's important as an artist to not be in a program where it's only film, but to also incorporate other aspects of art in that sense?
Absolutely. It helps so much with filmmaking. I would imagine that would help with composition of composing shots and things, helping with deciding lighting, which would be a foundation in photography. Learning how to set up just a single shot as opposed to like a whole scene. When I went to effects school, there was no preliminary drawing courses, and it really helped me to be able to draw and understand light and shadow and how light hits a face at certain points, and how the depth of eyes and everything. So I mean, it certainly helped a lot to just have a little bit of that extra credit in there to just make you a little more well-rounded.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I was in a program like that at Robert Morris in their film and television program, and it was the same sort of boat where you got kind of a mixed bag of everything. And honestly, I've always told people that a filmmaker or anyone who's working in this type of field should absolutely be exposed to all facets of it, even if you don't even think it's going to necessarily work for you. Hell, even web design is going to help you, because I mean, we all need to promote ourselves. We all need to be able to have a way to use the internet to our advantage. And if you really don't know that, and all you know is, well, I know how to edit, it's like, yeah, that's great, but the jobs out there are looking for more than just that.
That's something that they hammered down in school pretty hard once I got to Pittsburgh, was that the more you can offer, the better you are. The more you're able to sell yourself. I can do this and this, and by the way, you need a graphic designer, I can do your poster for X amount of bucks, whatever. It's when you get there and you have a foundation in drawing. That's one of the things I tell anyone that approaches me about wanting to learn special makeup effects, and they're like, well, where should I start? I said, I should start drawing really quick and practicing really hard. And just whatever you like to draw. If you like to draw Spider-Man, practice drawing Spider-Man. Get to learn how the body looks, get to learn all that stuff, because the Savini school is pretty quick moving, and it doesn't teach you art. It doesn't teach you illustration and foundations of drawing so much as it's like, okay, day one, you're sculpting. So.
Cool. Did you have to learn anatomy and things like that to kind of enhance your effects?
They teach you anatomy there. So there was an anatomy course. But yeah, you have to, it absolutely helps you to learn, the curves of muscles and things like that, and the way facial muscles move, for like, not just the way they are when you're not making a face, but, if you're making an angry face or a laughing face, everything changes.
Now, Mark, I've seen we're usually all behind the camera, but I've seen you in front of it every once in a while. Now, is that just to save a couple of bucks and you're going to be on set anyways, or is acting something that you enjoy as well?
I like to act. It's fun. The more tattoos I put on myself, the less range I probably have as a character.
That's fair.
if I were gonna ship out west, I'd probably just be a henchman and everything, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I mean, I like to act. I usually tell Len, I'll be like, well, I'll play something. I'll do something if you want. And then the only time I really pushed him was for the motorcycle movie that's coming out soon, the Hellcat's Revenge. I was like, I really want to be a scumbag in this. I want to be a horrible person. And he wrote me a cool character named Repo. And Len, when we were filming, when we started, he wasn't entirely sure, but then like halfway through, he's like, you got a cool character. And I'm like, yes, I'm enjoying playing this character. So
cool. Did you have any formal training as an actor, or just kind of jumped into it because you were on set anyway doing makeup, that sort of thing?
I took theater in high school, and I was in drama club in grade school, which I mean, I don't know how much of a training that is, but
it's something.
But in theater, in theater one in high school, I got a little bit of basic stuff. Nothing. I no real serious training. It's just something I think is fun. Most of my training probably just come from watching movies and just like, okay, I like the way this guy's acting here, and so and so acts mostly with his eyes and his grimaces and stuff like that. I think that's fun. So
cool.
Well, if people are wanting to take a look at a lot of your work, which I really, really suggest, because Brian, I'm with you. Your graphic work is stunning, Mark. Where can they go to kind of get a look at portfolio, or just kind of maybe even Instagram? Where can they go to take a look at your stuff?
Or
my Instagram is my primary source of promotion at this point. So it's just Monster Mark 138. And, it's the same for Twitter too. I'll post my Instagram stuff through, I'll post through Instagram to Twitter, which is just my Instagram stuff. So, and then, Facebook gets all of that stuff too. I don't have a formal website at this point. Just for the point that I couldn't get people to go to it. I had monstermarkweb.com for a small time, and I would give out cards, and I'd be like, well, no one's going to the website. I might as well just not do it anymore. I'll just use Instagram. And it's been better that way. So.
And then do you sell prints or anything, Mark, or is it mostly just custom stuff that you do?
Occasionally, I was trying to get in on that and sell, the fan-made horror prints. And at this point, it seems, I like to do my own stuff. So, I mean, you're not going to see, fan posters from me anymore. I don't think. Unless unless I were to get something from like Waxwork Records or something or Mondo, I wouldn't do like a Friday the 13th print at this point. There's just too many of them. So, but I like doing my own stuff and putting my own spin on things. So I mean, like one of the most recent things I did was like the giant dinosaur fighting this giant caveman, and I was like, this is a similar pose from Frankenstein Conquers the World, and I'm just going to change the characters around in the scene a little bit and make it my own. So
cool, very cool.
Well, Mark, we're working on a script right now of a serial killer Easter bunny. Do you think you can come up with ways for it to chainsaw through people?
I would love to try. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, hopefully we can get some kind of friend discount here. But
awesome.
Absolutely,
yeah,
we'll talk.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
It's been fun. Again,
they can find you at Monster Mark 318
138.
Yeah, Monster Mark 138. Yep.
Okay. Yep. On Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
I feel like we need to say that one more time because there could have been some kind of confusion there. Monster Mark 138.
That's correct. Yep. Monster Mark 138.
Get that
Twitter
Insta.
And
Get
Instagram.
It.
Awesome.
Yep,
Thank you for
that's
coming on the show. We'll definitely we'll definitely put out the word on your book. We definitely want to get that out there. It sounds awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. You just have to search my name. It'll come up. So yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being on the show and kind of talking about kind of something we don't normally get to talk about, in interviews, a little bit of, the front end, back end, kind of in front of the cameras, makeup, like a lot of different things, so we really appreciate your perspective and, coming on the show and talking about it.
Thank you. It's no problem at all. I'll come back anytime.
Awesome. All right.
Cool.
We'll see you.
Take care, guys.
All right.
See you later.
Take care, Mark.
Thanks, Mike.
Lane, where can they find you out on the Twitters?
The Twitter machine. I am LA_Croft.
Oh, there you go.
How can you follow that one?
I know, right? Well, you don't want to hear me sing. I had to take all those earbuds. Are killing me. The Unreal J Wolves.
You can find me at Brian Connington. I also run the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epiccastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Send us a rate, send us a review. We love getting those. Also, be sure to check out our newsletter, Psychos Nation. You can sign up for that on our website and catch a new episode available every Sunday.
Oh, and you can also find me under your bed as you slip into REM.
Epicast.